Hey, this is John Carlos, and I'm here with a look at the DC Collectibles action figure of Arsenal from Arrow. I really dig Arsenal's costume on Arrow, so I'm happy to report that for the most part, they did a good job translating it into action figure form. Now there are some pros and cons to this figure, so we'll dig in with the pros first, which is, starting off, the design is great. Like, as far as sculpt goes, this is a great sculpt. Obviously, the wrinkling of the pants and the shirt and the jacket and all that look great, so the texture of it's awesome, but the details within it are awesome too. And all those details are well painted. So if you just see like the lacing going down his jacket, tiny little sculpt, very clean paint. But also just like the belt buckle, the red lines going down his pants, the buckles themselves are painted well and follow the sculpt. And then all the little weapons like that are hidden all over his costume, like on the sides there, and you'll see like the arrows on the side of his leg there. All this sculpting is really well done. You can see just like the laces on his shoes are well done. His shoes are well designed as well. The little red line going around the edge. Like, all the paint on this is really clean. Like, really clean. Like the rivets on the back of his legs. The little dots there look great. And again, all the little sculpted details. Not only is the red paint there, but like there's a good sculpt to it. His belt buckle looks good, and then the texture of his jacket, like it's a darker red at the bottom, a brighter red at the top. The burgundy shirt underneath has like a little dark wash to it. The back of his jacket has elbow pads. There's this little tiny knife sculpted on the back of his belt. The lacing and like the darker paint of his jacket, like everything on here's got really, really good details. Even the quiver looks cool. Now the arrows are like a solid little section that are stuck in there, but it looks good. Also looking good is his hood, which has a little dark wash to it, which gives it kind of a leathery effect. And his head is pretty well sculpted. Now, it's kind of hard to turn it because it's underneath the hood, so you kind of have to turn the hood with the head to get him to move into position, which is very limited in the range, but you do get a little bit of movement out of it. The mask itself is well sculpted, and then the paint within the eye area is good. You get the black paint around the eyeballs, and there's a little brown line that goes underneath the eyeballs that on some figures I saw bled into the eyeball considerably, but mine's pretty good. Also, mine's lips are pretty good. There are some that have really big, kind of gaudy painted lips, make it look like lipstick, make it look like he's going out to like a certain kind of club on the weekend, but this one turned out good. And as far as the sculpt goes, his chin, his jawline, like his jowls, it all looks like Roy Harper's face. The drawback to this figure is it's got some pretty limited articulation in the upper torso area. Now the lower leg area, it's got great range of motion with the hinged legs that go forward and back. You've got the mid-thigh cut, double knee joint, and then you've got the hinged and swiveling ankles. So that's awesome. But you get up to the torso, and you've got the you got like a ball joint at the waist. And it feels like a ball joint, but it doesn't have that much of a range of motion because the coat sculpt is so solid, like you can't really lean forward or back, but it does swivel, and that's about it. The head is also trapped underneath the sculpt of the hood, but at least you can move his head a bit and tilt it up and down. But where it gets, to me, a little bit of a drawback is the arms. Sure, the sockets move up and down. You got the ball hinge shoulder and a single hinged elbow, but you got the wrists that swivel and pivot with the little wrist joint that swings, which is great. If it was like any other figure, but since it's a character that like holds a bow and arrow, all you can really do is put the bow in his hand. Like, you can't get his arms to do anything remotely close to, you know, putting the arrow in his hand and getting it in a proper place. So you can see this is about as close as things get. What would really help with this is a bicep cut. And I don't know why they couldn't do a bicep cut, because if they did a mid-thigh, they can do a mid-arm cut. Because again, if the wrists can pivot, if you could just put a bicep cut here and here and bring the arms in a bit, the wrist work would take care of the rest. You could easily get them to hold the bow and arrow in an action pose. But as it stands, it just feels like, here's a sculpted figure. It doesn't really matter if he's an archer or whatever, as long as he's got these sort of basic articulation points, it's just a toy, and that's fine as far as the sculpt goes, but I feel like he should be able to hold a bow and arrow in an action pose. He comes with a bunch of accessories, including this bow, which I just showed you, which is huge, by the way. It's like almost as big as the figure itself. He also comes with a knife. This knife is, got a pretty interesting little design to it, and what's really cool is it fits into the holster on the side of him right there. He also comes with some extra hands, including this pair of fist hands.
And then he's got a pair of hands that are trigger finger hands, even though he doesn't come with a gun. It could be for like putting his finger on the bow if you can get the hands to, you know, reach all the way across, which I think you can, but the arrow probably wouldn't line up. And then also the open palm hands. Now, none of these hands have an open space between the middle finger and the index finger to grip this arrow it comes with, which is disappointing because that'd be cool if he could actually grip the arrow like he should. So this is about as close as I could bring his arms in, and you can pivot his wrist out so his bow's at the right angle, and if you bring the string out, it reaches his hand, but it doesn't stay in the hand. But oh well, despite my little complaints about the limited articulation, I do think this is an awesome figure because I do appreciate a good sculpt, and I think as far as sculpting goes, this figure looks great. So he can just be chilling, holding his little bow like so, and I'm fine with it because, man, this figure just looks awesome standing on the shelf, and I dig it a lot. Thanks for watching.